My guest today is Sofiia Chuiko-ska, a Ukrainian artist based in Paris, France. Now, she is one of 7 directors of the Oscar shortlisted animated short film, The Shyness of Trees. Now, the short film won a Student Academy Award in the animation category of the 52nd Student Academy Awards, organized by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Now, Sofiia was involved in a bit of everything in the project, but mainly character animation. Now, their Oscar shortlisted animated short film, The Shyness of Trees, is about Hélène, a 40-year-old woman who comes to visit her aging mother in the French countryside. But her mother isn't being her usual self, and she seems to have formed a strange bond with the plants, insects, and the old oak tree at the end of her garden. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome filmmaker Sofiia Chuikoska and her Oscar shortlisted animated short film, The Shyness of Trees, to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Well, where did the idea of this story come from?
The main idea for the story was Loic's, who is one of our directors, Loic Duplessis d'Argentré. When we were pitching ideas for our graduation film, he had two ideas that he wanted to do, which he ended up merging. The first idea was to make a horror project where a tree would be the antagonist, and the second idea was to do something related to the fact that he has parents that are maybe a bit older than the average person in our age group, so he thinks a lot about what it would be like when they would be gone. So he merged those two ideas, which turned out to be our film. And then the idea got developed because we're 7 people, so we worked on it together to make something, to develop it. Really, to it changed a lot since the beginning, I think.
How in the world did you end up with 7 directors on this film?
That's the way the Gobelin Master's program works. We are teammates, but technically speaking, it's part of the program that we're technically all directors, that we all have equal speaking power of making decisions about the story. So even though not everybody was completely equally directing the project, like putting equal amount of effort into developing the story, people would specialize, but we didn't have concrete names for what kind of role everybody had. But ultimately, it just means that when it came to developing the story, everybody had like equal voting power and how we wanted it to turn out.
Well, I love the connection in the film between human and nature, but also the connection between mother and daughter. The tree really symbolized life, and in some ways, the mother also seemed to symbolize Mother Nature. Even the insects were drawn to her. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, I like the way you read it. I don't want to say exactly like what's right or what's wrong. We spend a lot of time thinking about different symbolisms and details to that maybe there's a main story, but things that we wanted to say that weren't, maybe not every audience member would understand the same way, and we really like people speculating. But yes, definitely the themes about nature and the cycle of love, life and death, and how the two characters, the mother and daughter, view this relationship with death and nature differently. And yeah, the mother is definitely much more connected to her garden than her daughter.
The mother, there's that scene in the kitchen when the daughter comes over, and the daughter, she is very, she has a lot of worry, but the mother was living life with no worry at all. And then the daughter, her worry really is that her anxiety was a sign of fear. And then that fear was the fear of losing her mother,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, that's exactly right. The mother has been surrounded by nature, living in this house for a long time, and she has come to accept how nature works. She's close to nature, seeing how plants live and die and animals around her, so she understands, and she's happy to reconnect, to stay connected to Earth this way. But her daughter is far removed from such a world, so her main concern is a childish sort of inner child fear of losing her mother and how her world would change completely. So it's something you have to deal with, to accept in the end, I think, for
Well,
everybody.
Well, I noticed that in the animation that there was even a bug design on the kitchen tile, and also the bugs in the house were being drawn to the tree. What did the bugs actually symbolize in the story?
That's something that I really wanted to emphasize. It was originally an idea, but to me, I really was pushing for us to have this sort of bug procession. I wanted them kind of to be, if the tree is something that's drawing the mother in, then the bugs are kind of the little minions of the tree. They want to help the mother reach her goal of reaching the tree. So, uh, and and in the end, they have a little procession, a little ceremony with flowers celebrating the mother, kind of helping complete her the ritual that she's going through. So yeah, it was difficult a little bit to, when we designed the bugs, to make them, there had to be in some parts really unsettling, and other parts really, I don't know, maybe cute and endearing, because yeah, something happy is happening from their perspective.
Well, how many different bugs did all of you have to create for this film?
They, I mean, we had a couple of designs, but I just know that we had one shot. I think that, if I remember right, we have like 72 bugs on screen at one time. It was really all the help we could get from guests, I mean, intern animators we could get, it all went towards the bugs, because we rarely used cycles. They're all unique and they have names in the files if you look for them.
Well, I noticed that, I watched the film many times, and I kept looking at the tree. And the tree really symbolized creation. And in a way, at least for me as I was watching it, part of it even symbolized heaven, because when the mother got up in the middle of the night, she was walking to the tree naked. And at first I'm thinking, okay, why is she doing that? And then I got to thinking, well, she was returning to creation the same way she entered the world. So did I interpret that correctly?
That's the first time I hear such an interpretation, but I think it could be correct. It's nice. I mean, in a way that I think it's a very nice way to interpret it. It's not wrong. But when we were thinking about it, it was not so much going somewhere higher, even though the tree is growing. But it's the returning to nature, because yeah, but it's true about like how you come into the world, you leave the same way. Right now there's a lot of people who I think in modern times a lot of people experiment with how they choose to be buried or cremated or things like that, and some people choose to be buried under a tree so that their body could feed these trees, that their um, and their family members could visit it for years to come. And that's something, that's the kind of direction we were thinking of, I think, when we were developing the story.
That was something that I was thinking about as well, because I know that even in modern times, there are more choices in the areas of burial. So I was wondering if that was one of the elements that y'all were trying to bring forth in this film. And you did. And, I even noticed that when the daughter chased after her mother, it showed me that no matter how old we are, we will always be little children to our parents, because I noticed that as the daughter was climbing the tree, she was actually becoming younger and smaller. And that emphasized the fact that, well, we never really grow up when it comes to our parents. And in many times, uh, children, they don't want to let go when it does come to that time for their parents to pass from this life to the next.
Yeah, I do feel like the kind of attachment and the fear that we have of losing our parents. I think, yeah, Hélène is a character. She's very stubborn. She's trying to be level headed and to control every situation she is in. But when she is brought to this breaking point, she just reverts to being a childish emotion of, no, 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 I want you here. I need you to stay a little longer. But she has to accept that, well, it's not about you necessarily at the moment. It's time for the mother to go, and but she'll always be here in some way. So she just has to listen to what the mother is trying to say, I think.
Well, with seven directors on this film, how did you all decide on the design of the animation?
um Well, we separated into different camps at some points when we were working on the visuals. Often, when we would be working, for example, half of the team would be working on the storyboard, while the other one will be developing the art direction. And sometimes we would see between each other who wants to maybe switch departments for a little bit to try things. But finally, the character design, it's all done by Maud, Maud Lebras in our team. So the character of the mother and the daughter are, yeah, all her. And then we have the bird and the insects, which would be other people or a mix of people. And yeah, I really appreciated her unique designs. And really, I think the team started out like early development. It started out with Loic's idea and Mode wanting to illustrate it and finding a way between them to work together. And we just joined and added our own flavors to to the film to make it really connect.
Well, so tell me how, tell me about the color palette.
Yes, we worked a lot with colors and specific, even more light. Oh, so I'm gonna start with colors. We chose the main daytime palette was green and orange, and because that's something that, well, we have a lot of nature, so we had a complementary color, and we had the color palettes of the characters. The mother being much more closer to nature with greens and yellows, while the daughter was contrasted with white and red. She was red with red, like completely opposed to this world. She was not integrated into it. So we thought about that, and we really liked the idea of playing around with how the night color palette would be. So we settled on this kind of somber, otherworldly, greenish blue, I think. But yeah, the light is really what we were focusing on. We had a lot of references from black and white movies, such as The Night of the Hunter or The Lighthouse, where they have a lot of big white shapes, or Persona, for example, also a lot of big white shapes or black shapes on the screen, and using them as a kind of artificial frames for shots. And we were very inspired by that. So we chose for the daytime scene, for example, in the kitchen, we have very bright white light that cuts the characters, and we could control that and play with that. And for the night scene, we have a lot of black cutting through the scenes, and the more we get closer to death, the more of the pure black screen is coming into the frame.
Wow, I mean, it's a stunning film, and I mean, how many? I mean, when it comes to animation, I mean, how many drawings did it take to put this thing together?
I guess I never counted it with drawings, but I could say how much, like, even if not everybody was comfortable with animation in our team equally, in the end we had to put all our effort, every person into animation, get some outside help, because it was super important, and we were overwhelmed by just how many details we wrote into the story that had to be animated: the wind of the tree, the insect, the grass, the characters. Thankfully, the details of the characters, we were smart enough to make them simple, but the rendering was hard. It took a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, really. I think you could say our team worked 24/7, because we had some people who would work through the night and come late, and other people who would come really early to start working right away and on weekends. So it was really, really hard, but I guess I see now it's worth it, even though next time I would maybe. I mean, we were working without a budget. If we had a budget, I wish, like, there were so much more things that we wanted to do, but we couldn't because of time restraints.
Well, being a student film, were all of you on a deadline?
Yes, we had a very strict deadline, which I'm very grateful for. With other places I've studied at, for my bachelor, I was in a different university, but with Gobelin, I was very grateful that we had basically a production. We had a production already laid out. We had a pipeline, and we had a coordinator that would check with us that we followed the pipeline. It would be modified a little bit based on how we're doing, but it was already laid out for us. So we had clear deadlines for each part of the project, which was most of the time I could see that, yeah, that the pipeline they wrote really worked for what we had to do, even though sometimes because we were so ambitious we would push the deadlines all the time. But it was a balance, because like I was on the team of people who was trying to follow the deadlines as much as possible, so to avoid, to balance things out, because we had some people who were very perfectionist, that wanted to bring things to very good, and I could see, like, I was on the side of people where those ideas are so good, but sadly we don't have enough time, so let's try to find an optimized way to make it look the way we, or feel the way we want in the time that we had. Yeah, I think I loved, that was a very interesting experience that was super helpful, I think, for my future career.
Well, was it the team's goal to submit this film for a possible Student Academy Award?
We were thinking of awards, but it was not, definitely not the goal. There was no like specific award that we wanted it to be. It was all about being honest with our opinions and our feelings. It was very hard, and that's what I'm grateful for, the fact that we were such a team. We had great big discussions, personal discussions with each other of what we're trying to say, what we all want to express, and just using the opportunity of a student film to push our creative liberties in a way that we know we probably wouldn't have the opportunity to in like the grander industry, where we would have to look for a budget or a producer and things like that.
Well, what was it like knowing that you won the Student Academy Award in the animation category?
um it was amazing. It was there was some imposter syndrome for me personally, like no way we go through with this. There was a point where it's like, how did we trick so many people into thinking we made a good film? But really we felt, I think, deep down that as we were working on it, that there is something special about what we're doing. When you work on the project you get tunnel visioned sometimes, but when we saw our animatic with the first draft of the music from our composer, I think it was the first time where we all sat together there and felt something, there's something special about it. And it's, I'm very happy. We were very, very happy, very impressed with ourselves, I think. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's in the future, what's in store next. It's crazy to think about, I think.
Well, it's funny because with all film, regardless if it's animation, if it's live action, it's when the music score is created and added to the film and the film comes to life. Well, then tell me about how the music score was created for the film.
We were very lucky to book a composer, Jeremy Benamar. He, who is very talented. We thought about him. I mean, I think Loic was the one who was introduced the team to him. He worked on many other Gobelin short films. He comes back every year to participate, and we loved his other music on other projects and how diverse he was. There was a horror project that he made at the time that we were making it, that we saw, so he can make horror music. And so we had a very detailed reference sheet of music we wanted, of artists we like, the kind of songs from films in our animatic. So we sent it over to him, and immediately he loved it. He was like, oh, I love these references, this artist is my favorite, or I made a paper on him when I was studying music. So immediately he was grabbed by our movie and our references. So when it was the first meeting between everybody to see what we can do, we already understood that he understood perfectly what we were trying to do by the way he was talking. And he suggested some new things. He was like, okay, his plan was, he said, to include a lot of wood instruments into the film, which we didn't really understand what he meant by that at the time, but we trusted him to experiment because we understood that he really got what we we're trying to do. And so we just let him do his thing, and the first draft he came back with was that we felt like, whoa, that's very, very cool, and that's exactly the direction we want. And we really didn't need to ask him for many revisions, because he was just so great. The main instrument that I was very impressed by was he somehow found a person in Paris who played the didgeridoo, which is like an Australian like pipe instrument made out of wood or something like that. So he somehow got a person could play it, and that's where a lot of like the breathy wooden sounds come into the soundtrack, which I think is really the best thing I could imagine for the soundtrack. It's like the tree itself is breathing. I love it.
Yeah, the whole film together is just a beautiful film. Now, when the film has appeared at film festivals, what type of reaction did you receive from the film?
We had a lot of people come to us thanking think being thankful that we made a film like this, saying how much it moved them or that they cried. It's our favorite thing to hear that it made people cry. To see that our film got the reaction that we were hoping for. I was especially heartbroken by our YouTube comments. There were a lot of people who would say, "Oh, thank you for this film. My mom died a few years ago, or my mom is going through chemotherapy, so this is really important to me." And it was so sad, but also this is exactly the kind of thing we wanted. Literally planned for this to be the kind of movie that you watch it and you, after you finish it, you want to call your mom and that you haven't talked to for a while.
Well, what does it feel like now that this film is Oscar shortlisted?
We It's amazing. It's a big celebration. The school is congratulating us, praising us a lot, because even with the Student Academy Awards, it was the first time Gobelin has got that kind of award. A Gobelin short film got a Student Academy Award, and now we're going either even further. So it's like right now it's been the holidays, so it already feels like limbo between Christmas and New Year's and things like that. But also just the time of waiting of going to the next voting period. It's really I'm nervous, but I'm happy that we came so far already.
You have every right to be nervous and you have every right to be excited. And we know that the voting starts on Monday, and the announcements for the nominations will be on January 22nd. So I guess the whole team is going to be sitting there waiting when they start announcing all the nominations.
Yeah, yeah. We I don't think we can bring everybody together physically, but we have an opportunity to do a call. Like the last time when we did for the Student Academy Awards, we called everybody to get the good news. So we should definitely organize something. Yeah, everybody is excited. That's for sure.
Well, for you personally, what does the future hold for you in the world of animation?
I've definitely felt the impact of all of this happening on the my future. I think there's a lot of people who are reaching out to talk, to meet up, to talk about directing, and that's definitely for sure where I want to keep going. I want my next short-term goal is to direct a short film again, and I am currently working on concepts based, you could say, concepts of two separate short films, and I'm talking to producers, and we're gonna see. It's a team effort again, but much less than 7 people for now, and we're gonna see where it goes. And I really hope to push through, and yeah, to keep making films that matter to me, and to find my personal voice also, because 7 people is one thing, but I wonder what it's like to shorten the list of directors and see what that's going to be like when I'm maybe two directors. Maybe I'm in a team with somebody still, because I really enjoyed being in a team. So yeah, for sure, I'm gonna keep making movies no matter what happens, I think.
Well, are you going to stay in the world of 2D animation, or are you going to work with other different forms of animation, maybe 3D or claymation?
That sounds fun. I think for now I really enjoy 2D, and I feel like there's a lot that's still left for me to explore it further. But I think after I get my footing, after I get too comfortable with 2D animation, I would love to branch out into other media as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I think there's more artistry in 2D animation because there's still that human element to the creation of the storyline, the characters, the color palette. So I'm a big fan of 2D animation, and what a film that you and the rest of the team have created. And ladies and gentlemen, the Oscar shortlisted animated short film, The Shyness of Trees, is about a young woman, 40 years old, who comes to visit her aging mother in the French countryside. But her mother isn't being her usual self, and she seems to have formed a strange bond with plants, insects, and an old oak tree at the end of her garden. Now, I found the story surreal and beautiful, and the animation is beautiful as well, and all the elements flow from scene to scene with grace. And many people are talking about this film as it's been surrounded by the Oscar buzz for quite a while. So we will see in the next few weeks if The Shyness of Trees reaches the next level and becomes Oscar nominated. And I want to thank you, Sofiia, for sharing your wonderful animated short film with me today, and much success to you and your whole team in your Oscar journey.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here, and it was a great interview. I loved the questions. Honestly, they were very specific. It was well done, and thank you. I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much for the compliment. And again, much success to all of you in the next round of Oscar voting, which starts on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. And for the rest of you, you can watch or listen to all of the Bond on Cinema interviews at bondoncinema.com. Check out our Prime show, our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, Audible, and more. And remember, you're either going to see me at the movies or from the red carpet.